Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I sat down and filmed the video because I had taken a break a couple of weeks just because I wanted to rest, especially that it would have been the start of Ramadan, etc. So I had pre-filmed some videos that I have been posting. I'm not even sure that people watched them, but I just needed that break from filming so that I could focus on other things, because I really like that period to focus on myself and, you know, do a lot of thinking and meditation. But now I'm back to filming and I'm starting this series that I have hinted to, but also we have been discussing this a lot in the comments, which is about how I make sure to have quality items and things that match my style. So today I wanted to talk about tops. Because I initially was going to do a general style video and then a general shoe video, and then I just thought, you know what, there are very specific things that I tend to look for, and while you will have some common themes, maybe it's worth having a single category each time so that we can have a proper discussion. So for today I wanted to focus on everything that I wear up top, and that would include t-shirts, blouses, shirts, sweaters, etc. The first rule that I have, which applies to, I would say, 90% of my clothing, is that it needs to be natural fiber. I just cannot wear polyester. I cannot wear a lot of synthetic fibers. I just tend to start smelling, and I'm not sure whether it's in my head or whether it's something actually happening. But I do remember that when I used to wear polyester, the few times that I tried when I was a teenager, that didn't go well. So I'm pretty sure that the fabrics have evolved, but what that meant is that my synthetic period was very, very brief because I always wore natural fibers. When it comes to the materials, if it's a t-shirt, I really am partial to cotton. I love cotton. I think it's the easiest material for wearing and to take care of. You just toss it in the wash and you don't have to worry about it. My favorite colors to wear in general for t-shirts would be white and green. I tend to have multiples of these. At the moment, I think I have only one surviving t-shirt that is a white Supima cotton, and I have another one that is a cotton linen blend, and then the other ones are vivid greens, like this type of green that you can see typically everywhere. Everything I have will have my green, because I just love that. Where I buy my t-shirts would be wherever I can find them slightly, if it's organic cotton, that's good. If it's affordable, that's even better. And if it's ethical, I would just go for it. So there is a brand that used to be called The Cotton Story. Right now they are rebranding, so I'm not sure what they will come out as, but that's a brand I used to buy my t-shirts from. There is J. Crew, there is Uniqlo. So these are my go-tos. I would always restock from them. At the moment I haven't restocked, but this is one of the items where I feel that it always needs to be fresh, especially the white tee, because I tend to use a lot of natural deodorants, etc., and I always tend to have yellowing in my armpits. I know it's TMI, but yeah. So for me, at least, a white tee will last me a year or something like that. To be fair, mine, I stretch them, but it's one of the things I buy a lot of the time. One of you mentioned wanting to know my thinking process when I'm buying things. So for this section on tops, I thought, let me walk you through a decision process for t-shirts, and I thought a white t-shirt is one that I always go to. So I'm now on the Zara website. This Tinkerbell shirt is something that I would have probably wanted to buy maybe 6-7 years ago. Right now I wouldn't buy it unless it was to make a satirical statement. Then you have this little top. It's very cute, but it is cropped, and realistically I'm not going to wear this a lot. So even if I were to wear it, it would be one time or twice in a very hot August day. So I'll probably skip, just because the cost per wear will not make it worth it. Then we have this. I really like the fact that the sleeves are slightly different. It has a little bit of a poplin trim in here, but then I'm thinking,
the shape of it is not very flattering, so that's why I wouldn't get it. But we're already getting somewhere here with the poplin. It's a little bit different. This is a very simple t-shirt. That's definitely something I would actually want to have. The only concern would be with the fact of it being a muscle tee. I just need to see what it looks like from the sides, because I don't want to be showing my bra. Okay, so I can see already that the opening is not too bad. So that's definitely something that I can wear. I like the shape of it. I just need to be wary of it not making my shoulders look wider than they are, because I do have strong shoulders. But this is definitely something that, because I have very toned arms, would actually look really good. So that is something that I might consider. So the next thing I look when I see something like that is I go to the composition. This is 100% cotton, definitely something that I would like. And then the price is £8, so a little bit more expensive than normal, but I kind of like it. I'm looking then at the stitching. I think that the stitching looks nice, so that's a maybe. So I wouldn't buy it in an extra small. I'd buy it in a small and then add it to my bag. So that's first. Then this is a basic asymmetrical t-shirt. I like the fact that it's a white tee. I like how simple it is. Now let's go and see what is asymmetrical about it. Is it low, high, low, or is it, yeah, it's high, low, I guess. The fact that it's high, low means that it's easier to tuck and that it would probably cover my bum. So I kind of already like that. I just need to check then that the neckline is not too high, because that's something that typically bothers me. And yes, it is actually too high. So if this had a slightly lower neckline, I would have gotten it, because I like the high-low. So that's a no for me. And then this is your simple v-neck. It looks as simple as it gets. I just need to have a zoomed in view of it to see how tight the weave is. This looks a little bit see-through from this, so I have a question mark on that. So I need to go back to a front photo, and I'm not sure whether she's wearing underwear on that. I'm not sure whether she has undergarments, but it looks like it would be see-through. It's only £6, so that's nice. It's a third of what I would have paid from the Cotton Story, and it's 100% cotton. So that's again definitely something that I would wear with almost anything actually. It's not the most flattering, but it's one where I wouldn't complain. So that's something that I can actually buy. Then this, I really like it. I think it's very cute. It's different than other t-shirts, because it has this little detail on the sleeve. The only thing is that this sleeve detail is rhinestones and pearls, so it is a little bit more high maintenance than I want it to be. And when the pearls, because I wash these obviously every time that I wear them, when the pearls start falling off, the whole t-shirt is no longer wearable. So while I like the idea of it, I don't think that it's practical for my lifestyle and the use that I have for white t-shirts. So that's a no. This has a Minnie Mouse t-shirt. I wanted to show you this because this is an example of something I would have worn, but I would only do it if I wanted to be sarcastic now, and I would need to keep everything else look very edited. So that's a no for me. This, I thought it was very cute because it has a little Peter Pan collar, and you guys know how I feel about collars. But now I want to really see what it looks like up close. And when I look at it really up close, I see that the collar is nice, but then that this looks quite flimsy. So the contrast between the collar and the fabric of the shell is going to be a bit too high after I wash it a few times. So I don't think that I will like it. I like the idea of it. I'm not sure about the execution of it. So yeah, so I really liked the idea, but I wouldn't buy this one. And this is also quite interesting. So it looks a little bit dressier than just a t-shirt, and while I like having the very simple tees, having something like that is nice. This one has an interesting sleeve. I don't like it this way. I much prefer it when the sleeves are actually pulled upwards, so that's quite nice. I don't know how I feel about the ribbing though. And the other thing is, I'm not sure whether this, for somebody like me with strong arms, whether that might be a bit constricting. because even if I don't work my arms out, they tend to, like, my biceps tends to bulge a little bit as I move. It's just the shape of my arms, so I think I would struggle with that bit. It would be too tight. Yeah, and I'm not a fan of the ribbing, and also the size is not available, so that I wouldn't get this one. This is very, very simple. It's called an oyster white, so this is not the starkest of the whites, and sometimes you want to have something like this where it's just an off-white. You just want to be careful that it's not an oyster white, because it's actually see-through and it was so flimsy. This looks a bit flimsy. Let me look at it in another color to see how see-through it gets. Yeah, they're not showing it in close up in other colors, so my guess is that this is very, very see-through, so I wouldn't get it. Then you have this with this guipure. So yeah, I like the lace detail, again something that is a little bit different, but I don't like how the detailing flares. So if this were a little bit tighter, I would have loved to see it and then have the sleeve puff up, but I don't like that it's actually triangular like that, so I would probably skip this one, though I kind of like the idea of it. If we look at my basket, these things disappeared. Wait. Yeah, so I only have these two. This one is a very basic t-shirt, and I like the shape of it. I think it looks very crisp, and I'm not sure whether it's mostly because of the lighting. This one is actually as basic as you get, but I'm having doubts about how see-through it might be. So when I usually start buying, then I'll probably delete this one, and then if I were to buy a t-shirt, it would be that one from Zara.
Then we have blouses. I prefer blouses to shirts because I like something that is a bit more drapey and more feminine, that has a bit of a softer texture to it. I have stronger shoulders and I have strong clavicles, and I think in general when I'm not too focused I have quite good posture. So at times I feel that wearing a classic shirt is too angular for my liking. When I had just started working many years ago, if I look at what I used to wear over 10 years ago, it was always these shirts that I would buy from Zara or from Massimo Dutti or Mango, etc. And they would be similar to menswear shirts. And I just bought these because I didn't know better, and I would buy them also in the menswear colors like white, gray, not gray, baby blue, baby pink and things like that. And that's just not my style anymore. As I have evolved and as I have discovered what I like, I realized I like silk. And so for me, I would say probably 90% of my shirts are silk, and I try to go for solid colors. I don't like to have a lot of prints. I have a rule on prints in that if I'm going to have a print, it needs to be absolutely gorgeous. One of those prints that are really expensive, handmade, or where the attention to detail is uncomparable. What I have learned over the years is that when you want to mix and match high fashion and couture, if you go to prints, you need to always go high-end, because prints are very difficult to do beautifully in something that is budget. And so whenever I want to go budget, I will always buy something that is a solid color, because it's very difficult to mess a solid color. Whereas for prints, because they are more memorable, I want them to be really the best quality I can afford. Like for instance, this is a Dolce & Gabbana dress. This is silk, doubled in silk. This is hand painted, and every now and then I will just sit down and just look at the detailing of it, because it has so many panels. It's so loud, but at the same time it's one of those statement pieces. I wouldn't want to have a wardrobe where all my shirts are like that, which is why you'll notice that most of them are actually pretty simple. The only prints that I sometimes get, even if it's not in an expensive, quality-oriented craftsmanship, is the polka dot, because again it's very difficult to mess a polka dot. Most of the brands that I would have would be probably, I would say 90% is Cézanne. I buy from them. They're not a luxury brand, but they are priced very well. As in, it's a lot more expensive than Zara. It's not always noble fabrics, so I'm one of those people who have to read the label on every single thing, because you can have a shirt where it's in yellow version it's silk, but then it's in its purple version it's viscose, and so I'm very careful about that. I will only buy silk. I take care of my shirts. Usually if they have a very vivid color, I'll make sure that I wash them a few times by hand separately, but then I'm not very precious about having a shirt lose a little bit of its color, so I usually wash everything in the washing machine on a silk setting using Persil for woolen silk, and it's been fine so far. For me, if something is too delicate, I really don't want to be to have it in my rotation. That's why once I have found that I really like Cézanne, I just stuck with it. When it's not a silk blouse, I like to have cotton shirts, and for the cotton shirts I always want them to have a specific detail. So the things that I like in my tops are what I call bracelet length sleeves. So it has to be either a shirt that is already designed to be like that, which is why I need it to be sized for petite women, or it needs to be one where it has enough it's tight enough that if I pull it ever so slightly, it won't go back down. And it's not because I wear bracelets, it's really something that I realized I like as a feature. The same way that I like ankle pants. I think it suits my proportions better, and you know, you like what you like. So if it has a small detail in the cuff, or if it is like just around here, that's perfect. I don't like 3/4 sleeves. I just really like them to be around here, and I don't want them to cover this bit. So that's something that I always look for whenever I'm looking for tops and shirts. The other thing is I have a certain type of fabric that I always go to, and that applies also to dresses and a lot of the items that I have, which is pointelle or broderie anglaise. When it's broderie anglaise, you have a lot of the little crochet bits, you have little holes and things like that. I really pay attention to where the holes are because I want it to still be of taste. But that fabric is something that it's almost an impulse buy for me. There will not be a year that I don't buy a piece of broderie anglaise, and it's because I know that when I have broderie anglaise I just wear it a lot. So I have it in all different colors, and it's something that I always gravitate towards. The other bit that I like to have is shoulder bits. So I like, not shoulder pads, let me shoulder bits. So either frills or a decoration or some ruching or like little knots. But you will notice that in a lot of my tops you will always have something fluttery around here. I just love that. It's a silhouette that I really like. I have it in my Cézanne shirts. I have it in my Eric Bompard. That's a French brand that typically does cashmere, and most of my cashmere sweaters are actually from them. I love Eric Bompard. They also have these bits that have the little ruching. I have silk tops, so it's knitted silk, which means you can wear it all year round, and it has very nice thermal qualities in that if it's summer you feel cool, if it's really cold you actually don't feel the cold coming in, but you have to have been warm to begin with. Lovely, just lovely materials. These are things that I have and I wash over and over again, and you will always notice that theme. In terms of colors, I go for really saturated colors. It's very rare for me to wear a pastel color. The only exception would be a dusty pink or a blush. So if I have a dusty pink, I have one I think in my Eric Bompard, and then my shirt is from Cézanne is actually a blush pink. But other than that, you would never find me wear pastels because I just don't like them. I like a saturated color. I have beautiful dark skin, and it's very rich color, which means that it can definitely go well with these very saturated, rich tones without me looking like a clown. So because actually I have the complexion to pull it off, I really go for it. So you will have the mustards, the chartreuse, you will have the lively greens, even a vivid cobalt, yeah, reds and things like that. These are things that when I get them, I know I can pull them off, and I love it. And it just, when you look at my little clothing rack, the color block is also something that makes me quite happy. So I really like that, to see all these colors. And this is white, so it brightens my face. It is a crispy cotton fabric, very loose fitted, so I don't have to worry too much about how I move, etc. The collar is very small and slightly ruffly, not too serious, so it doesn't feel like it's a stiff corporate kind of shirt. The eyelets are quite big, giving it a more playful look, but also just highlighting the pattern in it. And it has these little bubbles which are a bit playful, a detail on the shoulder with that puffiness, so it needs to be balanced with whatever I'm wearing under. The sleeves again have a little bit of the same scalloping detail, the same features, and also the way I wear it is that it always shows my bracelet. I don't wear bracelets, but this feature is something I like. So even if a shirt is full length, I always see whether it has the possibility to just, if I move it a little bit, to actually stay up here, and that's something that I really like. So these are some of the features that why I bought this shirt. It's from Cézanne. I think it's called Suri, and I wear it normally on Fridays when we have Casual Friday. This shirt ticks all the marks. So it is 100% cotton, a nice solid saturated color that I absolutely love. The sleeves are actually down to here, but most of the time I just slightly scrunch them, so they end up becoming bracelet sleeves. The color is a granddad color, as they call it here in the UK, so it is not one where I have extra fabric. One of the reasons why I grew to dislike traditional colors is because I often found makeup and bits like that, like brown/golden rim of makeup always, all the time, and even if you clean it, sometimes people just don't realize that it's makeup, and it would make me self-conscious because I would think maybe people just thought it was dirt, which is still a stain. I mean, it's makeup. I love it. I love the detail on the shoulders. As I said, I love anything that is a little bit ruffly, so it's not as big as having shoulder pads like the 80s, but I like how it looks. I love that the buttons are very delicate. They have that irregular feel to them. I don't like buttons that really look and feel like plastic, so whenever possible I prefer to have horn, mother of pearl, things like that, so I like that. And this one is from Cézanne. So that is in terms of the composition of the things that I really like. There are certain things that I like to have that are actually a bit on the opposite of what I have just said. So everything that I have said is really delicate, feminine, etc. I also love chunky sweaters, like Aran sweaters from Ireland, the big massive ones, woven, and where I actually look like I have no definition. I love these. I wear them a lot. Whenever there is a very chunky sweater, I will actually embrace it. I would probably wear it with a boyfriend's jean that is high-waisted. I might half tuck it. Sometimes I don't even care what it looks like, but these are things where at the end of the spectrum I just feel that they are very cocooning, and if I keep everything else very simple and feminine, I think I can actually pull it off. And that's something that I like to really break with a specific style. So I don't want to have something that is too predictable. Like for instance, today I'm wearing a Dolce & Gabbana dress, but I'm actually wearing it with Birkenstocks. So just to, you know, not be too precious. Just because I'm wearing a silk dress doesn't mean that I'm going to wear, you know, silk ballerinas or something like that. So I like that balance, and that's something that I have also in the sweaters department. When it comes to decorations, I stopped wearing things with cartoons on them and things like that. There was a time when I used to wear a lot of cartoon t-shirts and not slogan t-shirts, just cartoon t-shirts. I don't do anything that has a slogan on it, something where you have to actually read. I don't have things with characters. The only exception is a t-shirt for Captain Majid. Captain Majid was my crush when I was a child. You have different names for it. The original manga anime name is actually Captain Tsubasa, and then you have Oliveton in France. I forgot what was the name in Spain, but it's just a cartoon about a football player. It's something in Japan, and you follow it season by season by season. It's just something that I absolutely loved. And that was the one exception, and I have watched that to death, and it's the one tee that I actually wear that has a cartoon on it, and I will continue wearing it until it has holes in it. The other exception is that one was from Uniqlo. The other exception is surprisingly a t-shirt from Primark that has Mind the Gap with the London Underground thing. It's Primark. It's the cheapest thing ever. And it's obviously 100% cotton, because even at the time when I shopped at Primark, I used to buy only the 100% cotton. But it's the softest t-shirt I've ever had. It washes like a dream, and honestly, just for that one tee, I could actually brave Primark again and go. But it's just, it's one of my favorite t-shirts. So these are the two things that I have with prints on them. Sweaters, same thing. Very plain, single weave. The only exception is actually one that my sister got me. It was a birthday gift, and she got it in an olive color, so it's one of my favorite colors. Obviously I would wear it immediately, but it's a Ralph Lauren, so it has a teddy bear, and that's the other exception that I have. I think that when you have, either when you know your rules or you have set a certain set of rules, it's actually quite nice to break them every now and then, because it's your rule. And so while 99.9% of what I have doesn't have any of that stuff, I like to break that rule. The same way that all my shoes are plain, and then I have my little Gucci sneakers, which I'm actually thinking of buying other ones. I had to put something on the hop, that's why I had to put my timer. Sorry, I'm trying to multitask because, you know, that's life working from home. But anyway, so what I was saying is, I was talking about all the things that I like, all the exceptions that I made, etc. If you were to look at my wardrobe, I would say in my tops, most of my tops are white. Then you have the block colors. Then you have 2 or 3 prints. For example, I love my Cezanne print shirt because it has such lovely colors, and that's something that once I wear it, I just feel very happy about it. But I really had to go into the detail of it because I wanted to make sure that it looked good. As I said, I have this thing about prints where I can tell if a print is not well made, and because I used to paint for many years, I have a thing with how colors interlace and how colors bleed into each other and things like that. So it's really not about something being expensive or not, it's about the execution of it. And I think it's just about how I learned to paint as a child, and that's something that is engraved in me. And so somewhere in the back of my head there is a right and wrong way of doing colors and watercolors, etc. And that's why I have a bit of a critical eye when it comes to that. I thought I'd briefly mention a few things that I actually used to buy a lot but I don't wear, or not a lot, but if you buy even one and you don't wear it, you know that that's already a waste. So as I said earlier, 10 years ago I used to buy these shirts that were very formal. Right now I only have one shirt that is that formal, and I actually style it in a way to make it a bit more relaxing, more feminine, but I no longer have structured shirts. Blazers. I used to buy lots of blazers because I used to think that that's how you can have an executive style. As I actually became more senior, I realized I don't really need that blazer, and I have my own style to convey my authority. So I still have lots of blazers, and I am keeping some of them, but I think this is the year where I really start culling them. So when we go back to work, if I realize that I'm not wearing them, I just looked at a neighbor. This is so weird when you're vlogging and you have people like, ugh. Anyway, this is very awkward. So yeah, my blazers are something that I'm not wearing a lot, although I used to wear them quite a bit many years ago. silk camisoles. Silk camisoles are something that I am enamored with the idea of. I love the idea of wearing a silk cami and a pair of jeans and something like that. For some reason I have never worn it, and so I think it's because I never got to see how to style it. And it's one of those things where I have 4 or 5 silk camis, and I really have to make myself start wearing them, because I always thought I would not be able to pull them off. And so it's about daring to wear them, otherwise I need to donate them. So that's very important. And what else? In materials that I don't wear new wool. So because I know I have mentioned synthetics, but it's not just synthetics. I don't wear new wool because it's something I'm allergic to, and I will just break out in hives. So I only wear cashmere. Like in wool, yeah, it's only cashmere. The only exception is my very big sweaters, but even for those I try to either have a cashmere blend, or if it's wool but not new wool, I will always wear one of my white t-shirts. That's why I know that they get worn a lot, because I wear them by themselves and I wear them under these bits. But like, there is no way I can actually get a wool sweater, especially around this area. Like, my arms will also break out, but like this area, immediately you can see the little welts coming up. Ugh. It's not pretty at all. What else did I want to say about tops? Yeah, I think that over the years, as I have continued to reinvent my style, I think I'm really getting to a place where I feel that now we're really getting there. And so I definitely see that I'm wearing my things a lot more, just because now I have mostly the things that I love. I just wear them all the time, and so there isn't a time when I just go and go like, I don't think I want to wear this. I wear every single one of them, and I think that is when you know you have stabilized and that you have made the right choices. So that was a bit of an overview of how I select all my tops, what are my decision criteria. I talked about the materials, how I choose the colors, the print versus no print, things that I avoid. In terms of brands, I have mentioned that I really like Cézanne for a lot of my tops. I almost always go to Cézanne. And then for t-shirts, etc., I will actually go to other different brands. I'm not really brand loyal when it comes to that. And for my tops, I really pay attention to the material, so I don't really care who makes that sweater as long as it's good material. But that is essentially it. This is an overview of my style for tops, and the next video I think I'm going to show you dresses, because I love wearing dresses. I had to come to terms to wearing dresses after years of not doing that, because I was a tomboy. So stay tuned for the next episode.